Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Joe and welcome to a brand new video. Today is another type of discussion video, and I haven't really done one of these in a little while, so I figured it would just be nice to kind of sit back and maybe talk to you guys about potential things that could happen, and if said potential things happen, how everything will kind of play out in my opinion, and it would be really interesting to get some of your guys' opinions as well. So in the comments below, if you maybe agree or disagree with something I say, put it down in the comments. It will be really healthy, I think, to kind of start discussions for this topic. So the topic we're actually going to be talking about is what will happen if Valve abandons Team Fortress 2. And this is a discussion point that obviously I'm sure a lot of people have thought about at some point or another, and this tweet from Valve News Network, which turned out to be completely false, kind of got me thinking this could actually happen, you know, this could be a real thing that could be on the cards and that we should probably be thinking about. And the tweet essentially said that, what if I told you the TF2 team had 2 members as opposed to the previous 15 that were kind of known to be working on the game, right? So let's just kind of put things into perspective. Team Fortress 2 is well over the 11-year-old mark, meaning that it's pretty clear that there's no real reason for Valve to prioritize it in terms of investing time and money into the game when they've got newer releases such as Dota and CSGO probably generating a larger income as well. But let's just think about this rationally. The last major update we received was well over a year ago. Some may argue that the Blue Moon update or the Scream Fortress update were also major, but I don't really think in comparison that they can be considered major content updates. Admittedly, there were things added that weren't just purely cosmetic based, like the Smithmas update was, but I personally don't consider them to be major content updates. So with this in mind, this can really mean one of two things. This can either mean the positive thing, which is that they haven't put out a major update since Jungle Inferno because they're working on something big like the Heavy update, and whilst they're putting all their sort of time and resources into the Heavy update, they haven't had time to work on anything exterior, and all the kind of other updates they've put out have just been filler while they finalise the Heavy update. Or the slightly more realistic and still negative other option is that they aren't really working on any updates, and the updates they've put out have just kind of been placeholders and fillers just so we don't get overly bored with what we've got so far. So just for discussion's sake, let's say it's the latter, and that the next time TF2 put out a blog post on the Team Fortress site, it essentially says they're giving up support on the game and they're no longer going to be releasing updates for it. What would happen? I feel like it could really go one of two ways. I feel like another set of developers could somehow purchase the rights to the game, and then we'd receive more frequent updates, but it wouldn't necessarily be made by Valve. But I just don't feel like that's a realistic option, you know. I don't feel like there's another developer company out there that would take on Team Fortress 2, regardless of the fact it's still one of the most played games on Steam. I mean, all that would really happen is that we'd have a name on what currently is going on now, you know. Unless they are working on big updates, that is pretty much the situation that we're currently in. Except, I feel like the community would be much more disheartened and demoralised than we already currently are. I mean, let's think about it. Everyone is kind of anticipating this big Heavy update. We've been kind of slowly losing hope as the days go on that update is just not gonna come. It's been well over 2 years since Jungle Inferno, and it was said that whatever class didn't win would most likely receive an update as well later on down the line. It was never officially confirmed that the Heavy would officially receive an update, but it was just kind of an idea that we took and ran with. We saw the idea that there could be another update and we ran with it. Now, as far as I'm aware, no one from Valve has ever officially said that we're going to be receiving the Heavy update, but we all for some reason are still clinging to the idea that there's going to be a big Heavy orientated update due to the Pyroverse Heavy war that happened some time ago. So let's just say the next time they make a blog post they say there's not going to be a Heavy update, or they don't even address the Heavy update, they just say it's the end of the line, they put out one final update and then they're done. What is the future of Team Fortress 2 then? Well, I feel like the people that play the game are going to carry on playing the game. I feel like the main thing keeping Team Fortress 2 alive at the moment is the community. Whether that's through content creators, whether that's through things like Reddit, or even just people playing the game regularly due to loving the game. I feel like the community is going to stay alive, but when there's no real attention from the developers shown and no real reason to kind of be looking forward to new content being added to the game, there's only so much that you can play the same thing over and over again before it just gets mind-numbing. This is why I think that the only real thing keeping the game going at the moment is the community. With events like Memes vs Machines and Canteen Crashers, it gives us something to do and something different and something fresh, whilst the TF team aren't really giving us that. But I think everyone's worst nightmare is receiving that news that they are completely cutting off ties and stopping developing the game. And once we do receive that news, will the community carry on having these events and carry on putting effort into a game that the developers themselves aren't even concerned with? When I was coming up with ideas for this video last night, one thing I took into account was the economy in Team Fortress 2. Everything has a set price at the moment. Keys have a set price on the TF2 store, on marketplace.tf, and everything like that. They all kind of have a real world value. If Valve cuts off ties to the game and says, we don't want to carry on developing, we don't want to keep updating this game, what will happen to everyone's unusuals and keys? Because people have invested time and so much money into the game to get a backpack of all of these items, and if the game is suddenly not backed by its developers anymore and not receiving consistent updates, the economy will eventually begin to crash, you know, because it will only be so long before people lose interest in the game. And I feel like, especially if they ever said and made an announcement saying that they were stopping developing, people would start to panic sell, you know. People would be like, okay, I'm not gonna invest, I'm not gonna have money in a game when it could be real money that isn't gonna keep updating and will eventually die. So everyone will start selling their things. Everyone will be quick selling unusuals for keys, and everyone will be selling their keys for money, to the point where it will just completely crash the market. And I feel like there is such a wide market and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of TF2 items that they really can't just suddenly like close the servers to the game, you know, because it would literally destroy so many people's investments and literally make so many people lose so much money. So for example, let's take a look at some of the top backpacks in Team Fortress 2 and just how much they're worth. So keep in mind, this is all value belonging to one person. Daft Chicken Gaming has a backpack of over 73,000 keys, which means if TF2 were to suddenly shut down and close everything off, he'd lose over $130,000 worth of item. Other people in the top listings include Custard, who'd also lose $130,000, Shadows, who'd lose $70,000, Dead Andre, who'd lose $60,000. Like, in the top 100 backpacks alone, there's probably well over $500,000 of items themselves that would literally just get lost near enough straight away. Of course, by lost, I don't mean that they're gonna get deleted or anything like that. I think it's important to note that. But not everyone is going to want to stay invested in a game that is not backed by the developers and is not receiving any further updates, because the inevitability is that people are going to lose interest, so they're going to want to cash out. Of course, this is assuming that when they shut the servers down, people panic sell. And unless these big high-profile traders want to stay invested in the game, they would eventually have to sell up shop, and the item prices would drastically drop due to the fact everyone is panic selling. At least that would be my prediction anyway. If they wanted to stay invested in the game, I mean, they could, but they've got a lot of money invested in a game that's been abandoned by its developers. And I think that one of the main reasons they've still kind of got the game up and going at the moment is because it does still generate them a lot of money. So I put out this tweet just essentially asking you guys what you think would happen, and one of the first replies I had was this person saying, what's keeping the game going is hope. That kind of post would instantly kill any game, especially a game like TF2, which is already in a dire state. And I think this is a very interesting perspective, because I kind of mentioned this earlier and briefly spoke about this, but the main thing that is keeping a lot of people going is like looking forward to that next big update, whether that's the heavy update or not. And I feel like if they put out a post saying there's not going to be another big update, it would kind of instantly demoralize a large amount of the player base. But at the same time, considering we haven't had a major content update in over 2 years and there's still such a large player base, do you think it would instantly kill the game? Or do you think people would slowly start to stop playing due to repetitiveness? As I feel like it wouldn't instantly kill a game, and I don't know, it depends on which way you look at it. But realistically, I don't think TF2 will ever actually shut their servers down. Like, as far as I'm aware, Valve has never closed servers for one of their games. For example, right now you can go on Steam and just hop into a game of CS Source. Like, they've never actually closed the servers for a game. So if they stop putting out updates and officially announce that they stop kind of like working on the game, people will still be able to play it. It will still kind of appear on Steam. It just won't necessarily be promoted. And because there's no new content getting put into the game, less and less people will start playing and less old players will continue playing. And I also think that the popularity of the game would drastically start to slow down, because it's not only the people who enjoy the game that would stop playing, but YouTubers would run out of things to make content on. I mean, there's enough of a struggle at the moment of ideas to make videos on. With a game that's 11 years old that hasn't received a major update in over 2 years, if they completely cut off updates, TF2 content creators will eventually die out and branch out into other things because there's literally nothing else to make videos on. But guys, that is just about it for this video. This is just kind of my predictions on what would really happen if Valve decided to just shut up shop and completely stop supporting the game and let it be ran by the community. Leave a like if you did enjoy this video and let me know your thoughts on this topic as a whole down below. As I said at the start of the video, I thought it would be a very interesting discussion point that a lot of people could have some really interesting discussions about. So yeah guys, thanks again so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and peace.
Yeah, I'm really about to blow. Counting up bands, I want go to the sauce, then they stop and stare.